on this rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke to trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That trade season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I put first, if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average shit. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your penny line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged the bond. And they already know what it is when I get on to the hearse. Party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Oh, my gosh. Hi, everybody. Grand Rising to you. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and it's going to be a great show. As you can tell from the laughter already starting right off the top, I want to welcome you to a warm Wednesday. It's not warm outside. It's wet. So either way, you could go either way with it. But welcome to the Morning Update Show. I get to do this show today with my brother from another mother. G Prez is in the building with us. What's up, G Prez?
What's up with it? You already know. Whenever I'll make that call, I'm showing up. I love coming down to get down with you.
Yeah, every time it's always a good time. And we're just sitting here cracking up because you really be having me rolling. But I'm so glad later in the show, we're going to check in with you, how your Black History Month went. Now it's just the 2nd of March. And so we want to hear from you a little bit about last month. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and get started and we'll be coming right to you.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. I'm in the building once again. Morning Update Show. I love coming down here, rocking out with Converge Media. It's a wet Wednesday out here. It's been wet, but yesterday was really nice. It's crazy. Monday was crazy rain. Yesterday it popped off. We did a Fat Tuesday joint in Columbia City. I went down there, me, Vitamin D, Tish, everybody from Beat Walk, and had an incredible event. And then pow, the rain's right back.
Hey, man, we're going to be dealing with that. You know, it's March. They start to say as it's going into spring, we're going to see these showers. So we'll see, man. That's a great update. Can't wait to hear more, Prez.
Yeah, come on.
Well, welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show. Officially want to welcome you. Right now is a perfect time for you to go ahead and tag and share the stream. Please tag and share the stream with people that you feel could benefit from some culturally relevant news emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald and in KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. Also, right now, if you guys can't watch the Morning Update Show, you guys can also listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you find podcasts. Salman has SoundCloud right there, but check us out on Google, Spotify, iTunes, whatever your choice is. You guys can look up Converge Media Network and you'll find us as a podcast. Again, we've been keeping this message alive, you guys. COVID information, vaccines, testing, boosters, all that stuff is still relevant right now. We're seeing a lot change in terms of recommendations at the city level and state level. So, hey, the mask mandate is going away. We also know that they're no longer looking for vaccination cards in certain restaurants. Some are still kind of keeping it on because it's really up to them, but it's not being, mandated by the state. But hey, if you guys are still looking for more information or to get some of your questions answered around hesitancy, you guys can check out hereforuswa.org. The Department of Health has done a great job of, creating some culturally responsive communication for COVID-19 and all things COVID. And now you can also still get a free test into your home if you're looking to get some rapid testing before you go out and are out at a crowd. We're seeing a lot of events. I'm doing, a lot of shows in the city. So there's an opportunity for you to use those rapid tests. Go to covidtest.gov. So I'm just putting these links in the comments for you guys to have easy access to them. But we do have a great show for you guys. We got, of course, our guy G Prez in the building. We also will be checking in later in the show with Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald. We'll be talking to him later on in the show. And also Brian Callanan will be here. So can't wait to dive in with Mike. There's always some interesting things happening at South Seattle Emerald. And of course, on Clapback Culture, that is airing tomorrow at 7 p.m. So I can't wait to hear what they have going on, him and Jules. And Brian actually is bringing us a pretty funny video about the closure of West Seattle Bridge. So we have some great updates coming in from Brian as well. Excited to dive in with our guests later on in the show. But Prez, sounds like you guys was kind of getting it going yesterday. Tell us more about this.
No, it was jamming. It was jamming out there. So we had DJ was out there. Me and Vitamin D was in the building. We had the brass band playing, going up and down right near, playing the jams. A lot of restaurants did like a Mardi Gras themed specials, drinks, and food. It was popping. The Rummer Notes is normally closed on a Tuesday. That joint was up and jamming. I ended up at Taco City up there, got on some of them chicken wings, habanero wings, margaritas. We had a real good time. We straight up.
Look, this is what I'm talking about. So much fun to be had in the city. And these are gems, like really in our community. You're talking about hitting up the spots where people are like, man, it's almost a reunion when I go up into that spot. I remember first time at Rumba Notes and I'm like, what? Hey. Yeah, everybody is hitting up these spots, man. So how is it for you to really be able to get back out in community? I know COVID kind of shut some things down. Now we're seeing some things live again.
No, COVID shut it down, like straight up. So yeah, it's definitely feels good to be back in the community, moving around. In fact, I'm gonna be back at the Rumba Notes on this Friday with the goodie bag. They're gonna be playing live with my boy BP Parker performing and hosting. So it's crazy. I ended up walking into the goodie bag show like a couple weeks ago and ended up on stage doing a couple songs with the band. So it was spontaneous, lit. It's great to be in Columbia City, keeping the community alive, keeping Black folks in the hood, trying to encourage people to come back to the hood. And like you were saying about Black History Month, that was a big part of Black History Month, was for me to be at the groundbreaking ceremony for Africatown project up on 23rd and Union, which is going to be making affordable housing available for residents, Black residents, to try to return back to the Central District.
Yeah. Targeted marketing is really key. And then we have community preference right here in the city of Seattle that says, like, look, we actually need to make sure that we're giving preference to people who have been displaced because of gentrification. It's just one step in the right direction. But Africatown Community Land Trust, ACLT, has been doing a tremendous job of, every time they get an opportunity when it comes to land development, they're like, look, you made the call to us. Let's figure out what we can do. So they have a lot of projects underway right now, and Africatown Plaza is going to be a huge project for the Central District. I mean, you're talking about local artists and international Black artists, their artwork being displayed in the building. Also affordable commercial space in the building, and they're doing a community event space, which affordable housing, tax credits and the ways that you fund these kind of projects doesn't traditionally pay for those kinds of spaces. So Africatown was like, look, we're going to be intentional learn from other projects we've been on, and really be intentional to ensure that we can do what the community is saying that they need. And an event space was a huge deal. So I'm really looking forward to how they have their Africatown offices in there. It's going to be vibrant. It's going to be thriving. So I'm loving that the groundbreaking has already taken place.
Hey, we might be looking to relocate. We've been in our office space down in the urban work law for over 10 years. We might be bringing it back to the hood. Unfortunate situation with C-Spot Media. There was a fire in their building recently. So I was telling Khan, like, here it is. You know, it's in the Universal presenting the opportunity to possibly move the C-Spot building there. There's another unfortunate situation with the Black Firefighter House, which is located off of 23rd and Pike, where there's a discrepancy in the sale of this property. And I think it presents another opportunity for them to maintain that property, develop it, make it into a resource center for the community, a small museum for the Black firefighters, and also maybe some affordable housing on top. So nothing but opportunities, man, nothing but opportunities.
I love this. You know, we also had Jebediah Gardner on. He was talking about the amazing development he's doing in the Central District, has another one happening in Skyway. The idea is that we actually have community-centric design taking place in the CD where we grew up, man. This is really key to me because I'm like, this is stuff that was never being breached before. But I think sometimes it takes like the tragic almost loss of our spaces with gentrification for so much vibrancy to be injected now into these new processes and projects. So I love how you talked about that. What else did you get to experience during Black History Month?
So also we took a trip up to the mountains. We took a bus load of people of color up to the mountains, did a little inner tubing joint during Black History Month. That was super dope. Was excited to get up and get outside of the city and get around some controlled snow. Like I don't need that snow that shutting the city down, but I like the controlled snow, you know. And just shared a lot of events, you know what I'm saying? Like just seeing the different organizations. Like I've never seen so many different organizations doing different events. Up at Langston Hughes, Rob Ross, who you had on the show, they had that, you know what I'm saying, business to business pop-up up there. Nikita over at Platinum Plush, she's been there doing business, I think, for over 20 years. And she just got her new neon sign on top of the roof. And like, for me, like, that was big, you know what I'm saying, to see that progress and to see her as an entrepreneur, a small business owner, being involved in the community. She's worked with the city for years, producing events and bringing attention to small businesses in South Seattle. And to see that sign go up, I'm really happy for it. That was a real treat for me for Black History Month.
Absolutely, it is. And when we talk about really celebrating our Black entrepreneurs, I mean, that's you're talking about Platinum Plush, man. We did a piece on Platinum Plush, man. You're right. Decades into this game, and honestly, so dedicated to also giving space for some young designers and entrepreneurs to share a space with them so that they can actually have a place for their products as well. So shout out to you, Nikita. That's an amazing feat. And sounds like you guys got some, you know, events happening. People are going to have to catch up with you, man. I got to ask you right now because I can't be missing out. I would have loved to go inner tubing. I can't be missing out. How do people make sure that they're connecting with you and the events you have going on?
I mean, well, definitely presidentialtranspo.com. You know, so you can go to the website. You can definitely follow me on social media, gprez206 on IG, Keith G Prez Asphy on Facebook, gprez206 on Twitter. So I post what I got going on. That particular event, the homegirl from the Links Project, Stephanie up at the Links Project on 23rd. She does a whole lot of dope events
Morales,
up there. Yeah, so she actually put it together, and I was already putting something together, and we put it together. So between her and her homegirl, they sold it out on their own before I could even make any announcements, really. So we're looking to do it again, and then we're starting up our single ticket buy on winery tours on Saturday and Sunday. So when you was talking about, you know what I'm saying, putting together some singles, you know what I'm saying, some Black love single events, because there's a lot of singles out there. I see it on Facebook all the time. People talk about they having a hard time finding suitable mates. So man, let's turn it in something where we can put the singles in the room together, see if we can make some love matching.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, Prez, you got me on that one. I'm with you on there. You know what I'm saying? I'll help out with the organizing the event, whatever you need. So we will definitely be following up on that.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. I can't wait.
All right, you guys, after this short break coming up, we have our guy, Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald, and of course, our very own Clapback Culture. He'll be here right after this short break. You're watching the Morning Update Show. Hey there, it's Trey Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear.
When the pandemic hit, it did affect me. As a barber, I had my own personal reasons why I didn't get vaccinated. At the time, I didn't check the actual source. I thought the vaccine was developed too fast, but I was talking to a doctor and he was telling me more about the vaccine and what it can do to protect us and our family. I wanted to get back to that once was, right? I do feel safe knowing that I am vaccinated. I just hope what I'm saying is reaching into people's heads to know that this is the best decision for all of us.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And joining me for co-hosting today is my brother, G. Prez. What up, G. Prez?
In the building. What's good?
Hey, man, it's always good to have you here. And we started the show off nice and right. We're going to continue in that vein with our guy, Mike Davis. Let's bring in Mike Davis. Hi.
Mike.
Oh, muted.
Every time.
See, man, I was so eager to come in, man. You're always having so much fun. I just wanted to come in and be a part of it.
I love it, Mike. You know, hey, it's always good energy when G Prez is on the set right here in Black Media Matter Studios, but it's always great energy when you can join us. We appreciate you always coming on when you have that time on Wednesdays. Man, tell us a little bit about what's going on at the South Seattle Emerald.
Yeah, I got a good one coming this week with the South Seattle Emerald. I had the opportunity to sit down with Derek Wheeler-Smith. He is the new director of the city of Seattle's Office of Civil Rights. You know, he had come from King County where he was the director of Zero Youth Detention. We got to just do a deep dive, man. He told me everything. He told me kind of, you know, growing up in the South End and how that led to him becoming an activist. And, you know, he comes from a family where his dad and his brother are definitely both involved in violence prevention and just doing things for the youth. So it was a really, really good conversation. So if anybody wants to know who is leading the Office of Civil Rights, be on the lookout for that in the South Seattle Emerald.
I love that. You know, he's going to be right here with us on the 9th. So looking forward to diving in more with him. And you're right. I think right now, a lot of people are really understanding more about his background. He has really been in this, when you talk about community efforts and working in the city level and really trying to make sure that those ties are connected. He's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So I'm sure you learned so much. It's great to know that you did this kind of in-depth with him. I got to ask you too. I mean, when we talk about the Office of Civil Rights, there's been some scrutiny in the Black community around their effectiveness, right? And so I don't know if you breached that with them, but what were some of the takeaways that you said, you know what, maybe this can be an opportunity to do something different there in that office?
Well, yeah, I think that, I mean, what really jumped out at me, to be honest, is the fact that, like, I mean, of course, y'all know him. I know him, you know, as I've covered violence in our communities and different efforts that different organizations have brought forth to address this, his name always comes up. So like he's around. It's not like Mayor Harrell just pulled him out of nowhere. Nah, he's been here and he's been doing the work. I think that what I find interesting about him is how he defines success, or rather how he does not want to define success. Like he wants the job to be organic and to be fluid, and he really wants to be led by the work. So instead of coming in with like this whole checklist that we typically see in city government when there's a new director and they're like, hey, I'm going to do A, B, C. Nah, he doesn't want to do any of that. He actually wants to get in. He wants to work with the community, and he really wants to learn the different ways that he can leverage his position in this office to actually affect real and impactful change. So I think it's a really interesting approach, not coming in with a bunch of things that he can just rattle off that he wants to do. Instead, he's eager to work with community and be that connector between the activists and the government and the communities that need the support of all of those entities.
Yo, man, that's so crazy that you had got on with my guy. I just talked to him today, you know what I'm saying? And we got another follow-up conversation that we're going to have later on. Definitely my guy. He talks that talk, walks that walk. There was an event that during the protest during COVID that was at Rainier Beach where he spoke at, and it was just crazy. It gave me straight up Martin Luther King vibes, the way that he held it down. And I just was talking to him about, hey, man, we need to get that footage and make that footage available, ready, available, and share that word. And then shortly after that, he got the call from the mayor. So it just feels real good to know personally so many community people, members that are now downtown working with the mayor. And I'm really excited about what they're going to be able to do. And as I talked to you about last time, how do you really feel about the accessibility to the different members of the mayor's organization?
I mean, when the mayor is making decisions like Derek Wheeler Smith, it's really hard for me to argue with that. I mean, he has connections, of course, to Choose 180. Of course, he has connections to community passageways, but he also has looked at youth violence prevention and youth like trying to not jail our youth on a county level. So like he brings so much experience. But, last time I was mentioning, like with Bruce Harrell, so many of us have a connection where we could get on the phone and call somebody that knows somebody that can put you in contact with Bruce because Bruce is from the city. Derek is the same way. Like he's going to be extremely accessible, especially when you look at some of the other folks that have had that position. He is a city-born, community-bred. He's just amazing. So I'm excited. I can't say enough how good it is to have folks representing city government at the director level, at the mayoral level, who actually have real ties to the community. Y'all that Converge, you don't need me to tell you about Derek Wheeler Smith. Y'all already know him. So if there's anything that you need or anything you need leverage from the Office of Civil Rights to support the community, now you all can make that phone call. Now the people that know us got that contact to make that phone call. And sometimes that's all we really need in the community, is to have an ear to listen to what people actually need. And it feels like that's the direction that we're going in under Bruce Harrell's administration.
Well, I really think that you're right about this, Mike. And the truth of the matter is that this accessibility is necessary. It is the right time for this. I mean, there's always a time to do what is right, right? And I feel like this is a great thing that I think Black community is really experiencing, this accessibility. I love that you asked that, Prez, because I think it's so true when it comes to the fact that a lot of times, we get people in these positions that don't have those ties. So the connection, they're constantly utilizing time to make that connection. And here we have people that are like, they already got that connection. So now it's like, let me hear from my people. What do I need to be doing in this position? And they really can listen to the people because they already have those relationships. They're built. They've been established for years. It says a lot. This is maybe not so much what we're experiencing at a national level. When we talk about accessibility, I mean, Mike, what are some of the things you guys are going to be diving into on Clapback this week?
We got a lot. So I'll start with the fun stuff. Julia has been watching this new rendition of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So we're going to have to dive into that. And I'm going to have to watch some episodes because, I'm a big time Fresh Prince Will Smith guy. And I didn't even give that show the time of day. Julia did. So I'm going to do some catching up. We're going to talk about that. She also has a couple other topics in hip hop. So, we're going to come in and we're going to have some fun. But we're going to have to talk about Joe Biden. We're going to have to talk about this State of the Union address. It was really interesting to see him campaign and all of the talking points that he had to address the Black community as he campaigned. I didn't hear any of that in this speech that he just gave. He didn't address student loan debts. There's a lot of things that affect the Black community that are getting swept under the rug. Also, on top of that, the fact that he has a plan to give police additional funding. And, I'm not even the biggest defund the police guy, but when you're saying that you want to give the police additional funding in the hopes of keeping communities safe, I would love to see some research and data from our president, from the federal government that supports this idea of giving them more money leads to more safety, because in the streets, that's not what we've seen. So I definitely would love to see that addressed. We also got to talk about Ukraine. Ukraine is another tough one for me. When we look at how we treat immigrants from Haiti or immigrants from Syria, or we look at how, the United States can go walk into Iraq, or, you look at what's happening over there in Israel. In Israel, people fight against the Israelis and they throw a Molotov cocktail. We're going to call them terrorists. The Ukrainians are throwing Molotov cocktails, and we're going to come out here and call them heroes. And that's no disrespect to Ukraine. Russia's coming in like the big dog trying to wipe them out. I understand, protect yourself. But it's really, really interesting to me as a Black man to see how the United States is rallying around this white European nation in a way that the United States has never and will never rally around a Black or a brown nation. Somalia can get bombed and nobody's going to say a word. But the minute somebody touches those white folks in Ukraine, the whole world wants to stop. The whole tech community is jumping out. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork, even as we're seeing how some of our African brothers and sisters who are in Ukraine are being treated as they're trying to exit. You got countries like Poland, who's a part of NATO, not trying to let Africans into their border. So, there's just a lot to dissect there. We're going to talk about that new Judge Brown. Joe Biden appointed a Black woman to the Supreme Court. We're going to dive into that. So that's a lot. We got a lot.
Man, y'all got it going down on the clapback, man. I got to tap in on that Bel Air. I've been rocking with Will Smith since day one. The first record was called Rock the House. I was bumping that back in 85. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Straight up. Yeah, first one. Him and DJ Jazzy Jeff from Ready Rock C was still down with him. So I definitely had to tap in and watch the new show. I like the more comedy side. I'm not really into the little high-strung drama shows, but just because it was the Fresh Prince reboot, I had to check it out. And I want to give a shout out to the dude that got the lead role, man. He's doing a very good job, in my opinion, in catching the facial expressions of Will. But it's mainly the ones when they had the episodes that was more passionate or about more real topics, when Will showed those faces of frustration. I see him, tap into that consistently. I wish they could find some more humor angles. I wish it was a little bit more funnier. I think the opportunity is there. I like the jazzy dude on there. So I'm enjoying the show so far. Carlton's off the hook, man. I really don't like how they doing my guy Carlton, man, making him the evil villain and all that, coked out and everything.
Oh, man. Okay. Now I got to check it out. But I'm like you, I love the comedy in the first rendition of Fresh Prince. And, Will Smith showed his acting chops, of course, but he showed us those spots like, here and there, but overall it was a comedy. So it coming back, being a drama, it just felt like one of those little teenage drama shows that might be corny. But I keep hearing people like you say that it's good. So I'm excited to give it a chance.
And I know you guys are going to be diving in for real on Clapback. You and Jules always have. It's the differing of opinions for me. And now it's been a while. You guys have as many episodes under your belt, Mike. I just want to ask you, how is it for you to be able, you have this journalist, thing you do at South Seattle Emerald, very much so, but then you really get to unleash a little bit on Clapback. I just want to ask how that is for you, because you're really sharing so much of your personal opinion right there on Clapback and really bringing, I think, your perspective to the forefront, which is so necessary when, especially in juxtaposition to Jules. But how has it really been? Because you guys have great camaraderie, and really the audience loves it. They be engaged all the time. So I just want to hear from you how it's been. You guys have many episodes under the belt by now.
No, it's been great. And we have people in the audience too who have been there since day one, and they're still here. So shout out to them. We picked up a lot of new friends along the way too. I like what we do on Clapback because we have that feedback from the audience. Like when I sit down to write something for the Emerald, it's just me and the laptop. It's just Mike Davis going Mike Davis. I like having the perspective of Jules. I mean, she's a strong Black woman. That's a really good perspective to bring into dissecting some of these complex topics, and my view will always be Mike Davis, the Black man. So, we got people in our audience who are not straight Black men. So I get to hear that perspective, and we get to bounce ideas back. So when I'm writing, it's just me. But when I come to Clapback, it becomes community. So I'm not just telling you what I think. I'm learning from the audience as I'm giving them the information, and they're dissecting it. So it's a beautiful community that Jules and I have been able to build along with our fans. So for anyone that hasn't had the opportunity to check us out, Thursdays at 7 p.m., come kick it. Because for real, we kicking it. We in the comments, we talking to y'all. So just come hang out with us.
Absolutely. Right here on Converge Media Network. Oh, man. Great job, Mike. It's always great to be with you, and appreciate you again joining us on these Wednesdays. Man, Mike is always bringing that fire.
Come on, Mike, man. I love that show. I love both you and Jules. We rocked out in Belize, man. That's my homegirl, and had a lot of different angles where she knows my daughter and several other people. So it's just a great bond. Great having you guys on the team, and I look forward to the show. Always like, share every time I can.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Have a good one.
Peace.
You too. Oh, I love it, man. And you know what? Now you got me wondering, if I should be checking this reboot, man, because you never know. It's like in my mind, bro, when I see things like that, I'm like, man, we can't come up with nothing new. All we got to do is recycle the same ideas, but it sounds like they're taking some different spins on this.
Oh, no. This is not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, straight up. They definitely, brought it up to speed, and it's hip and using current lingo and everything. But with the same vibe, just with the, with the platform or the original characters, but with a whole nother 2022 twist. So I'm digging it so far.
All right. Well, I like Mike. I respect your opinion. You may have me tapping in. I may have to check it out.
Check it out.
Oh, right after this short break, you guys, our guy, Brian Callanan, will be joining us. We're going to be diving into all things West Seattle Bridge, apparently. Stay tuned after this short break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Every student who wants to play music should have the opportunity to. Do you know any young people that are excited to start learning music or pick their instrument back up? Seattle Jazz Ed is now enrolling for spring classes. Open to youth across the area, all music programs are offered on a sliding scale, pay-what-you-can model, and free loaner instruments are available for every family. Taught by some of Seattle's finest artists, classes are designed to meet musicians where they are in skill level with options for beginner, intermediate, and advanced level. And this season, we're opening up ensembles with options for drummers, vocalists, and instrumentalists of all kinds. Registering for March classes can be done online or over the phone, and you can learn more by checking out seattlejazzed.org or calling or texting 206-324-JAZZ.
Hey there, it's Trey Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear. Welcome Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and joining me is our guy, Mr. Brian Callanan from the Seattle Channel and our very own Seattle News, Views, and Brews. What's up, Brian?
Oh, good to be here. We got Seattle News, Views, and Brews on tonight at 7 o'clock on Converge, and I know people can't wait, so it's good to see you, Trey.
Yeah, always. You know, this is why I love when you come on Wednesdays, because it's like, look, there's always so many topics to dive into, and you really bring a plethora of knowledge from the Seattle Channel, but also the topics you guys will be mentioning tonight. Tell us about what's going on, Brian.
A lot of different stuff. On the podcast tonight, we're going to be talking about something the Seattle City Council was working on yesterday during its meeting there, its full council meeting. So they were talking about a hiring bonus for Seattle Police Department officers, right? You might remember this was a big fight between the council and former Mayor Durkin back at the end of last year, and the council said, okay, maybe a lot more types of people in the Seattle city government need to have hiring bonuses too, but we'll approve these through the end of December. And then the mayor said at the end of December, hey, you know what, Seattle Police Department, I'm not sure the Seattle City Council knows what it's talking about. Why don't you keep on handing out those bonuses? So there was some confusion there. And in January, the city actually handed out $220,000 in these bonuses to the SPD. It was a bit of a surprise to the city council. It was a bit of a surprise to Mayor Harrell. So the council, what they did, they said, all right, retroactively, that's cool. We're going to approve those hiring bonuses there. But moving forward, we got to figure out a few other things here. And it's important to point out that the Seattle Police Department has fewer than 1,000 officers right now. They'll tell you this is fewer than what they had in the 1970s, and they're concerned about that. I know Mayor Harrell is too. There was a big public safety report that happened last week where they were talking about this. So I think the city council is still trying to figure out the ways they are going to get to that position where they're going to be able to hire some more officers as they wanted to do. They approved the SPD's hiring plan. The SPD says we're going to get 125 officers this year. That's a big goal, but they can also look back a couple years. Over the last 2 years, they have lost 350 officers. So there's still some concern there that the SPD will get back up to the numbers they're looking for, because it's difficult to get officers right now. A lot of agencies are offering these hiring bonuses, and we got to see what the city does next on that.
So now it becomes a competitive market around policing. And I mean, this is something that's really intriguing because policing has had a spotlight on it literally in the last couple of years. And I think that the accountability measures that take place in our last legislative session, you know, I've heard people say, you know, police don't want to come to Washington State. They don't want to have anything to do with it because, again, there are new things in place that they have to abide by. But really, it's just accountability. So my I guess my stuff peaks up because I'm like, but wait a minute, what about serving community? You know, is this about career, and is this about the bonuses and the money? Now, this competitive nature of policing, I don't know if this is going to have a slippery slope, Brian.
It's interesting to talk about because Seattle was offering these $10,000 bonuses, and this is actually for officers as well as 911 dispatchers. They're looking for both of these. But King County, just across the street, right, is offering $15,000. So where do we go here? Now, from the police department's perspective, that money invested is well worth it because then they don't have to put that person through a training academy or whatever else, right? But I think you're right. When it does become a competitive market like that, it really tears away some of these different issues here. And if it really is accountability, are we paying for accountability? You know, it's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, but I think that Interim Chief Diaz is really trying to get back to that whole concept of having a more community-based police department. Not that they haven't been, but he's really trying to get back to that ethic here. He's hoping to make a turnaround this year. Mayor Harrell is hoping to help him with that. So we'll have to see. But that's a really interesting discussion that they're having at the Seattle City Council level, at the King County Council level. There's a lot going on with this.
Well, this is really interesting because I think this is where a lot of community members are concerned or have concerns, right? In terms of how we hold police accountable and how there are community entities that are like, hey, we are over here holding police accountable. We want to make sure of that. So when we think about the influx of 125 new officers, you start to think, okay, well, do they understand the metrics going on in Seattle? Do they understand the nuances that community has demanded and the reasons why these new accountability measures are in place? Plus, we've also seen some real pushback, you know, at the state level, and our state reps have had to really kind of continue to sell this idea of accountability.
Or redefine it.
Exactly. Redefine find it for folks who still have questions.
Yeah.
So you're right about this. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys are staying on it because I know
Yeah.
the topic will be evolving over time.
It will.
What else is going on?
A lot of different stuff going on. We're also talking about some of the changing nature of the vaccine mandates and mask mandates that are going on. A lot of stuff happening there. I see a smile on your face because it feels like we might be getting back to normal, but really interesting to mark the 1st of March as that time when the restaurants, the bars, et cetera, are saying we don't need to see the test. We don't need to see the vaccine verification there. So that's a step. And then also looking at the 12th of March, and this is information that came out as we were putting the podcast together, but the 12th of March there as a time when we can get rid of the indoor mask mandate for all these different places. And so I think this marks a real change in terms of how we're approaching COVID as a society here. I think it hopefully indicates that we're moving from pandemic mode to endemic mode, where this is something that we will be living with in the years ahead here. But it's one of those times where I was talking with David Croman about this from the Seattle Times, my co-host, and he's really talking about this as, yeah, it's a time for understanding and maybe a time for jubilation for some people, but a time for caution too. I think there will still be some establishments, and they're allowed to do this under state law. They can say, hey, you know what? We really want to be careful with our employees. Could you please show us your vaccination verification or whatever else? So I think there's still going to be this grace period, and I hope people look at it that way. There is a grace period because we've been in a really rotten place for 2 years, and we're trying to jump up out of it. But there will be a grace period there where these different establishments are going to have to adapt here, and people are going to have to adapt to these changes too over time.
Yeah, it gets really, I smile because it's one of those things where I just go, man, it's hard to keep up. It's been hard for the everyday citizen across this country and globally to keep up with the ways that COVID has either been impacting our society, impacting our finances, impacting so many other sectors. But now it's this thing of, well, do we listen to the CDC? Are we listening to our local officials? Where do we get the information?
Who's on first?
I mean, this is something that I think, I've been saying it since they said, okay, we're going to have no more mask mandates. Me and my son, 16-year-old son, were like, I'm okay. I'll keep wearing the mask.
Yeah.
Like, there's this idea now that we understand it's not just about COVID. And I've always been a bit more of like, germs, right?
It was nice not having a cold over the last couple of years. I feel the same way. Right. Yeah.
Like there was some protection and measures that was like, wait, this is actually not so bad for us. And so I've heard the different arguments around this, right? Where people are like, oh, you just put those masks on with no problem. You were a sheep. You just listened to whatever. You just put the mask on. They clearly have control over the society because they just told you to wear masks and you did it. But if we're being honest, and I've been using this as an example, folks over in a lot of our Asian countries, they've been doing
it for
that.
years.
You know what I mean? So they understood it. So I don't know, Brian, this is one of those things where it's going to come down to, it seems like personal choice. Right. Whether it's for an establishment, like a restaurant, or for you and your family to be like, you know what, I'll just keep buying them. I'll just keep, at least keep some type of mask around us.
No, and we'll have to see how this plays out too for different transit systems. It's pretty crowded on a number of the buses, the metro buses around Seattle. Is that going to change all that quickly? That kind of federal regulation on that? Is that going to change on airplanes where you're kind of packed in there pretty close? Is that going to be something that they lift that mask mandate that quickly? So there are going to be other parts of our society where masks are still going to be a thing, where vaccine verification is going to be a thing. I just want people to be aware of that. This whole back to normal thing, there's parts of COVID that are going to stay with us for years, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of people have to adjust to the fact that we're really dealing with new norms.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. At the end of the day, it's not a back to normal thing, but it's definitely new norms. And
if it's new awareness, I mean, that's a good thing.
There we go. Because we're learning, right? At the same time, and we're adjusting to the knowledge we're gaining. And I think when I think about, I love how you just talked about transit systems. I love how you throw that in there because you're so right about that, because those are more closely tight packed spaces. I also think about sporting events or, the plays and stuff I go to, these live performances and shows. I mean, this is not just about yourself, but it's also about the people around you, particularly when you're in a enclosed space with many people. So I don't know. This is another thing where it's just, personal choice. We'll see.
I know it's this balance thing, because you're right. It affects arts and culture too. It affects us in a emotional way, in a psychological way too, when that mask is involved or whatever else. So it's a much deeper issue than, my politics don't like this or that or whatever else. I hope people can try to move past that. And like I say, have some grace with this, because things are going to be changing and there's going to be some growing pains there.
Absolutely, Brian.
Yeah.
I love that you guys are diving into
Yeah.
it. You guys got other topics going on. You're talking about lots of stuff going on. Tell us.
There was one more thing that I wanted to make sure I brought up here. And this was a really interesting issue that the Seattle City Council was talking about last week, and they're talking about it this week too. Cannabis equity. All right. So this was a big deal. And so as we all know, in 2012, we voted as a state to have recreational marijuana in the state of Washington. So that's what we got going on. And the whole idea behind that, at least part of the idea behind that, was this idea that a lot of arrests for simple marijuana possession were targeting people of color disproportionately. Bad thing, right? So let's try to change this here. We're going to actually validate the fact that a lot of people are using marijuana anyway. Let's make this a recreational drug and let's yield some benefits from it in terms of taxes, et cetera. However, when the actual industry was being built, and this is where it gets crazy, people of color were not involved in that. We're not involved in a gold rush, basically, of people getting involved in marijuana, in cannabis, and making a really good living over it. And so the interesting factoid behind all of it is 3% of the marijuana operations that are in our state, cannabis operations that are in our state, have Black ownership. 3%. Right? Sean Kemp's got his place down the way there next to the Space Needle, but he's got a 5% stake ownership in that, right? So what the state has been trying to do, they haven't been able to come through with this, but the city is really trying to take a closer look at this now too and say, hey, how can we get more people of color involved in this? Because when you talk about people who are really put down by these laws in the past, if they're not able to benefit from it on the backside when it's legal, what are we doing? So Teresa Mosqueda is heading this up. They've actually had some city council members from Boston, from Oakland come up here over the past couple of days here. They're talking with the Seattle City Council to try to find a way to bring some equity to this industry, because we can do whatever we want to on the law books, but I think it has a much bigger impact when you start putting dollar signs on it. You know what I mean? So this is a big issue.
Yeah, you are speaking near and dear to my heart. Cannabis equity has been something I've been working on for the last few years.
Right on.
And, I shout out to so many people and entities that are out there really working on this issue. I was one of those community members this morning giving public comment at Teresa Mosqueda's meeting for Seattle City Council. I think it's so important for them to really hear from folks from community, and particularly because I know so many people who were impacted by small marijuana possession charges, still dealing with trying to get those things expunged from their record to this day while it's legal. There's so many different blowbacks that happen when we talk about the war on drugs, right? And ultimately, I think that I'm glad that Seattle City Council is looking at this, because at the state level, there's so many things happening with cannabis equity right now. And there's a bill out there, 1827, that is really looking to say, how do we redistribute, cannabis revenues and maybe some revenues from the governor's budget to actually inject monies and resources into things that really should be funded and that are really going to be targeting, these communities that have been the most impacted by these harmful, laws. Ultimately, I think we have a lot of work to do. Just talking to some folks from Denver and from Oakland around cannabis equity, how they've been able to do, equity licensing out there, and what it really looks like for us to start implementing some of those things here. This is going to take something. This is going to really have to take a statewide effort. But I love that Teresa Mosqueda and others at Seattle City Council are listening to large groups like UFCW Local 21. They're listening to groups and to community members regarding this, because Brian, let's be honest here. I mean, we know that it was targeting Black and brown families. We know that. I know particularly so many of people that I know that have been affected. So this is really near and dear to my heart. And I'm always, optimistic about what can be done, because I think this takes bold, innovative approaches and some new ideas, right, for us to be doing as a city. And then maybe Seattle being able to implement something will allow the state to kind of see that and glean from it.
Someone's got to lead somebody here. You know what I mean? And I've covered this story on Seattle Channel for the past couple of years. I think it's very interesting too. It's one of those societal issues that does have a dollar sign attached to it. It has a lot of issues with race and social justice involved with it too. But I'm really hoping that someone is able able to take the lead. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen at the state level. I know that bill is still possibly in the works here, but it's kind of hanging on by a thread. Can the city of Seattle do something? I'm hopeful on that too. It's one of those kind of deals where someone needs to step up, right? And if it's the city, and the city, this happens quite often, the city takes a lead on this issue and then the state of Washington could jump on top of that or whatever else, that's fine. I just want to make sure that something is done, because this whole idea of inequity has gone on for so long. Change has to happen now. And I think the city's aware of that.
Yeah, I do too. And I think you're absolutely right when it comes to like, how do we listen to the people that have been the most impacted?
Yeah.
I love that there's a lot of cannabis workers that are also sharing their experiences throughout this process to really inform city council of how it's impacting them as a worker.
Right. And with the hope that, hey, these workers, there needs to be some sort of path. That's where some of these cities have been successful, like Oakland, et cetera. Is there a path to not only work at this place, but find a path to ownership, leadership, or whatever else? Because unless you have some people in those leadership roles, employees are great. Don't get me wrong. You need to diversify the workforce there, but you need those leaders to be diverse too. We've talked about it with the NFL, I know, over the past couple of weeks. You know, I mean, this is something that's real. And then when you attach something like this to it, with regard to what's happening with cannabis, I just think it's a really important issue and a fascinating one that crosses a lot of different issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing how it rolls out, Brian. But you know, we get to end our time with you today with something real fun. I want you to be able to set this up for us, Brian.
I'm going to do best I can. So I'm a West Seattle resident, folks, and 2 years ago this March here, the West Seattle Bridge shut down, and it's been a big deal for everybody who lives on the peninsula of West Seattle, but a lot of other communities too. So it's easy to feel down about it, especially when we've heard about the concrete strike going on, all that kind of stuff. But I was trying to turn it a different direction and try to throw something positive at it too. So I wrote a song about it, and I want you to check it out. Here you go.
You might have heard we got a little problem with the West Seattle Bridge. They had to shut it down, that road to downtown, but just back it up a smidge. Before you think about crying or putting on a mean old frown, everyone remember, you just can't keep West Seattle down. Woo! Talking about the people on Dale Ridge and the folks out on Alki Point. From Admiral down to the Junction, Easy Street, I love that joint. Road, High Point, Westwood, Arbor Heights, Highland Park, gather around. 'Cause when we work together, you just can't keep West Seattle down. Take me to the bridge, not that one, detour. If you can, you gotta work from home. Tell your boss I said it was cool. If you gotta drive downtown, bring a friend. 'Cause you're never alone when your car pools. And please, stick to those detour routes. Be nice to your neighbors, yo. Take a bus, take a bike, take a water taxi, everybody. That's the way to go. It's gonna take patience, people, and that's how we'll ride this out. And if you wanna make it happen, let me hear you scream and shout. West Seattle! 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 Everybody knows that you just can't keep West Seattle down.
Oh, man.
Brian!
That's what I got for you, Trey. That's what I got for you.
You know what? We gotta end it on a light note. I so appreciate your effort on that, man. Who knew? I didn't know you had no chops. I should have known. You know what I mean? I should have known.
Yeah.
Some musical inclination.
I got
there.
too much stuff going on. You know, it was a lot of fun. It was just something I wanted to do, and really kind of honor the people of West Seattle who've been through a lot, and everybody else around too. I mean, Georgetown on the other side of the bridge, they're impacted by this. It's really kind of a citywide thing. I know a lot of people are feeling down about it, but maybe that can bring a little smile to your face. I hope so. A few people have picked it up and dug on it. SDOT even was like, hey, this was cool. So it's been great to get the response from it. Thank you, everybody out there that's been checking it out and give me some kind words on it. And thank you, Trey. It's cool to show it off here on Converge.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that. And really thank you for the effort. Some great shots there, by the way.
My daughter was working on the on the thrill cam there, right?
I love it. A family affair. I'm with it, Brian.
It was fun. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Well,
Trey.
you do have Seattle News, Views, and Brews coming up. Make sure the people know exactly where they can find it tonight.
Yep. Check it out. Seattle News, Views, and Brews tonight at 7 o'clock. No singing on this one, but 7 o'clock here on Converge. Make sure you check that out. If you want to connect with me, at Callanan Seattle on Twitter is a great way to do it. Also, please do support the show. Look for Seattle News, Views, and Brews on Patreon. And thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Brian, as always, great to have you with us and looking forward to Seattle News, Views, and Brews tonight.
All right. Good to see you.
Right
thanks,
on. You guys, stay tuned after this short break. I get to bring my brother G Prez back to the set so we can end the show right for you. Stay tuned. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
In the depths of Belize, the travelers come across the waters, harvesting with their hands, learning of resilience rooted deep in the lands, culture thriving like a fire ablaze, sizzling with a pop and a chop, sharing its ways. Knowledge simmers and grinds into the hearts and minds, cutting away from the surface stories and colonial lies, boiling it down, breaking its shell as the truth pours out and gets plated collectively with love. Spooned into bowls, feeding the soul. Garifuna, alive and strong at Palmetto Grove.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I get to bring my guy, G Prez, back to the set. What up, G Prez?
Man, I'm in here still on a wet Wednesday. What's happening?
Hey, man, you know what? What an amazing show today. And I got to say, man, our guy, Brian, came through on that song for West Seattle. It kind of is a mantra that we can all actually utilize right now. You can't keep none of us down.
Mess around and blow up, man. Mess around and get the TikTok in and some more of it, man. So, no, that was dope, man. The creativity, putting itself out there like that and bringing awareness to the bridge, it drives me crazy, straight up. I do not like going to West Seattle. And that bridge going out and got hit with a couple of tickets going across the lower bridge, trying to be slick. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I try to avoid it when I can.
Well, you know, it's really, the fact that we're even talking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, he said it. And I was like, 2 years? Crazy, because I don't go to West Seattle often, but I have had to in that time frame. And it's just the drive around. It's just that Roxbury, it's just going, it's the drive around for me where I'm just like, oh man, these are areas I wouldn't normally travel in. Mm-hmm. So I got to get kind of used to, going through them, man. I don't know. You're the one, you're the one out here on the roads.
I look at it like this. It presents opportunity for West Seattle to become independent and start doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up, it's West Seattle. So having more events where, a lot of people are working from home out there now. So doing things to bring more people out in West Seattle without them having to try to make it over to the mainland. So shout out to all those in that traffic going back and forth to West Seattle. Wish y'all the best. Be safe on those wet roads.
You know what? It's wet indeed. And I just appreciate you for putting that out there. When I'm coming from Federal Way, I'm telling you, the torrential rains coming down on the freeway every time, it's like, man, you got to be careful out here, man. Yeah. That's when I slow down my pace, bro. Mm-hmm. I don't normally do it, but when it's raining like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, man, time to actually keep it right around 50, 60.
Slow down.
You know what I mean? It's important.
Lots of room between you and the car in front of you. Don't be messing around on your phone. I know it's very tempting to be on that phone, but stop that texting and driving. Get your Bluetooth game together and be safe, baby, man. So yeah, it's good.
I love it. Well, you guys, it's been a great show today. We got a couple of updates. We do have this overlay here because Black Violin is going to be at the Paramount this Friday on the 4th, 7:30. I am so looking forward to this show, bro, because I get to bring some of our elders from community, Dr. Maxine Mims, my grandmother. You know, Dr. Mims has been producing Let the String Speak for, I think, 7 years. And, you know, the idea is that she will get to see these young brothers doing their thing on the string instruments. I'm so looking forward to this event on Friday. So shout out to everybody over there at Black Violin. You know, they're doing something special for our elders. And so I'm looking forward to it.
That's dope. I might have to tap in, hit my guy Jason over there, grab a couple of tickets to come check it out. Or maybe y'all might be interested in black car service. Don't have to deal with the traffic, messing with the parking and all that. Drop off front door service.
Done.
So, you know, it's always an opportunity to make that experience to the next level.
You know what? I'm going to talk to you about it after the show. That would be amazing to really have a solid escort for some of these. Thank you, Prez.
Come on.
Always. Just making things happen. Also, tomorrow we have, you know, our girl, Julia Jesse, will be joining us from Clapback Culture. Looking forward to tapping in with her. Clearly, Mike Davis gave us some rundown of what they'll be diving into on Clapback. It's always great to hear Julie's perspective on all those topics. And then also, too, we're going to be hearing from our brothers over at the Factors TV, trying to tap in with Ronald and Ronell, the twins of the city. Hear what they have going on the Factors TV. You guys, it's always going to be a great show. And just like this one was, I so appreciate you guys for being with us today. G Prez, any last words for you?
Man, love, peace, you know what I'm saying? For everybody out there, stay focused. Mental health is real. Stay on top of self-care and self-love. Love yourself, baby. Y'all be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And as always, I mean, we get it right here with Prez. Prez is always seeing himself as part of the solution. Look how he just offered the service for us to be getting to the Paramount and from the Paramount. Thank you, Prez. Always see yourself as a part of the solution, guys. Brian was also doing that. Mike Davis also doing that. We really have people always on the Morning Update show that I hope you guys are being inspired by so you can see yourself as a part of the solution. Again, tonight, 7 p.m., Seattle News, Views and Brews, right here on Converge Media. And as my brother Omari would say, you know, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Peace.
What do I see through a lens of fear? 1,000 little steps to go. What do I fear after all these years? Lord knows I don't even know. I've been running on the edge of a sundial, sleeping in the shadow. I've been begging you to see me, then hiding beyond the unreachable. Looking out left on a right-hand turn, just trying to make a deal. A lazy shoes and love is a love that turn. That's the kind of food that heals. I've been searching for the end of an era, waiting to be ready. The world is bigger than a moment. Be steady, that's how you can feel it's real. But I feel naked in my new clothes, 'cause I got you.